Yes. Okay. So yesterday it was our first day. So we discussed some basic fundamental things. I'll just recap because I think Bhuneshwari's first session for us, for you might be Ravi also. Yes. Others were there. Shiva, you were
Yes,
there yesterday.
yes, this is my first time.
Okay. I'll just recap. Anyhow, whatever we have discussed yesterday, it is there on our YouTube channel. You can see. Plus, once you make a payment, you will be getting the recording sessions of all sessions. Okay. One more thing, Shiva, I think yesterday you have logged in, but only you have not given one number, one digit number, because the madam sent me. See, you have to give your complete number, no? It is your choice. You want to join, nobody can force you. So if you want to join the session, it is your choice. Okay. But don't join like a single number line, because they will be contacting you for the feedback as well as for the payment, as well as if any issues there, you can contact. Recording also they'll be sending. Okay, let's leave that. Uh, Let me continue now. Okay. If it is a mistake, sorry. But reply when they contact you, it is not forceful. You can say simply you are not interested. If you are interested, you join. Okay, let me complete now. Start the session. So yesterday we have discussed the basic things. Started with what? We started with what? What is Linux? So what is Linux? I repeat once more. Linux is an open source operating system. I repeat, Linux is an open source operating system. What is the importance of operating system? Yesterday we discussed this. Operating system is a collection of program. I'm just repeating. The complete session is available on our YouTube channel. You can see for the benefit of the people who joined today, Ravi and Bhuneshwari. For them, I'm just recollecting. Others, please just give me a few minutes. Then I'll start today's session. I hope you don't mind. Those who are there yesterday, just recap. It is good for you also. Okay. So I was just telling you, Linux is an uh, what is the main thing which separate the Linux from other OS? Linux is an open source operating system. Open source means the source code of the Linux operating system, which is designed by Linus Torvald, is freely available over the internet, which anybody can not only access it but can modify. That's why we have so many flavors available in Linux, which is not there in any other OS, like Red Hat, CentOS, Ubuntu, Kali Linux, Debian. So many are there. So can you learn all the flavors? No. All these OS are designed by using the Linux kernel, which is designed by Linus Torvald. So the architecture structure remains same. Some commands might be same, some command might be different. So you how to work? Just you have to be good to discuss this course based on RHEL Red Hat using the CentOS 7. So I'll tell you what is CentOS also. So the people who are working like a Linux expert in some companies, they form one association, one committee that is called CentOS, Community Enterprise Operating System. So they held the talk with the Red Hat people and they convinced them their intention is not to do any business, just to promote the or to expand the Linux. So they are giving that source code to the CentOS people. Exact same thing, installation, interface, everything will be same, commands will be same. So we are going to discuss RHEL 7 through the CentOS 7. Okay. So yesterday I told you you cannot learn all flavor, but you are good with one flavor, you can work on any other flavor. Because it is like something like I told you, car. So suppose if you have a Maruti car, and after some years you have purchased, suppose today you purchase example, Tata Sumo, bigger luxury car. So whatever you have, so do you need to learn the again driving? No. So there might be some additional features in this bigger car. Happens when you are good with work on any other flavor. You can easily work on any other flavor. Okay. So now Now let us concentrate on the yesterday's, just to quickly I'll recap what we have discussed in yesterday's session. Then I'll start today's session. So yesterday we discussed that Linux is an open source operating system. Open source means freely available. So Linux is designed using the Unix. What is Unix? Unix is a command based operating system, which is designed by AT&T company. So what they did, they made this OS hardware dependent, means their first Unix OS was designed by ATA company with what name sys3, sys5. So they made that is hardware dependent, or you can say proprietary based. So that OS can be installed on AT&T machine only, sys3, sys5. By that, they earn a lot of money. By seeing this, the other bigger companies like IBM, Sun Company, HP, they also designed their own Unix OS, and they also made their OS hardware dependent. Like example, if you want to install AIX, which is designed by IBM. So AIX OS can be installed only on the IBM machine. So suppose I have purchased HP laptop. Can I install the AIX? No. So in HP, you can install which flavor of Unix? HP UX. If you have the Dell laptop, can you install any one of these? No. So this is what called hardware dependent, or this is called proprietary based operating system. So earlier there was no competition to them in 1970s. So by that they earn a lot of money. So by studying this, Bill Gates developed what? Windows OS. And he introduced two important factors there. One is graphical interface, and second one, he made Windows OS as hardware independent. Means that OS does not require any specific hardware. It can be installed on any hardware architecture, whether you have Lenovo machine, assembled machine, HP machine, Dell, which you cannot do in Unix. So this Windows OS is designed by Bill Gates under the company Microsoft using DOS. So please remember, Windows is designed by using DOS. So same way, Linux is designed by Linus Torvald using Unix. Are you understanding? Especially those people who are, for them, it is a first session. And for the rest of the people, it is maybe a repetition. Yesterday, I have repeated. Yes, is it clear or not? Please tell me so that I can understand you are following or not. You please write it in the chat box. Are you understanding?
Yes, sir.
Yes, till now nobody replied. Okay, finally I got. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
I have a question.
Yes.
Is the language written in C language, or the code
Which one?
for the Linux?
See what happens. The commands, just we have to remember the commands. Unix is designed by using C language. So the developer, what they will do, they will write the command. So we just no need to remember any coding or programming. Just we have to remember the command. So we can just write the command without knowing any coding or the programming language. But that command is being designed or developed by writing this in the background C language. Is it clear?
Yes, sir, it's clear.
Okay. So now, Bhuneshwari, are you following? Because maybe it is your first class. Ravi has written his following. So same way you can confirm. Otherwise, if you are getting any doubt, any query, you can ask. Okay, nice. Okay. So now, so here in the Linux, why we are discussing Linux? Most of the people in the world are using Windows, but most of the people who are using the Windows OS, they are using for their client purpose. It is a fact. You can ask anybody or you can check in the Google. Most of the servers in the world, they are working on Linux. Why? Linux provide certain features which is not there in other OS. First of all, Linux is open source. And second important factor in Linux is very secure, because Advantage of Unix is very good security. Their disadvantage was no graphical interface and it was hardware dependent. So this drawback is overcame with the help of the Linux, which is designed by Linus Torvald. So this person, Linus Torvald, designed the Linux OS. He is from the Finland. So both these gentlemen, uh, Linus Torvald and Bill Gates, they are genius and both are of them alive. Because when they designed their respective OS, Windows and Linux, they were very at a young age they designed that. Genius people, this, and both are alive. So Bill Gates is from US, Linus Torvald is from Finland, a small country in Europe. But this gentleman, Linus Torvald, is not as famous and is not rich as Bill Gates because his intention is not to earn money. His intention was behind designing the Linux was he wanted the people to have the freedom from license issue. And he wanted the people should should use the OS free of cost. That's why the coding and program, whatever he has written, put it over the internet, which anybody can access and modify. That's why we can see so many flavors of Linux. So because any company can take that source code of the Linux kernel, they have to add some feature. Then you can have your own OS with your own logo and with your own name, which is not possible in any other OS. So this is the main advantage with the Linux. I hope it is clear. So some of the names have written here like this. So why it is possible? Because the Linux kernel, which is designed by Linus Torvald, we put the complete coding and program over the internet, which anybody can access without paying anything to him. You can access and add some features to it, but you cannot use as it is. You have to add some features. Then you can have your own OS and with your own logo. So in these different companies have taken that same source code and they have made their OS. So if you are working on Red Hat, you can work on CentOS, you can work on Ubuntu. Some of the commands will be same. CentOS and Red Hat is exactly same. If you are using Debian or Ubuntu, some commands might be same. Some commands may not work. So immediately what you have to do, just Google it equivalent command, you will get it. So that's how the people are working. So one person, it may be not possible to learn all flavor because it keeps on coming. So best thing what you can do, you be good in one flavor. You can work in any other flavor. Like I told you the example of car. So once you know one car, you can drive other car also. It may take few days to adjust to these features, but you can drive. Now our focus will be on Linux. So as I told you yesterday, Linux complete program of Linux operating system. Any operating system is a collection of program. So the Linux collection of program is divided logically into two levels. First level is shell. Second is Linux kernel. So benefit of the people, again I'm repeating, recalling. Now first we'll see shell. So shell means it is the first program of the Linux OS. So like in Windows, whenever you want to apply the command, you need to open the command prompt. In Linux, if you want to apply the command, you need to open what? Terminal. So once you open the terminal, what happens? Default, you are using a shell. So what is the shell we are using? The first program in Linux, that is the /bin/bash. So this is the name of the shell. If you use any flavor of Linux, default what shell you are getting when you open the terminal? Bin bash. So this shell will not be there in Windows, but it is present in Linux. So what is the first thing once you open the command? Sorry, once you open the terminal and write the command, you are writing that on the shell. So what is the shell will do? First, it will check the command is correct or not. If it is not correct, you will get a message, command not found. Like here, I have installed some OS. I'll show you just a minute so that you will get a clarity. So see here, this is some of the OS I have installed. Just 1 minute, it will be easy for you to understand. So let me open my VMware. So here I have one OS already installed. How to install, I'll show you. Maybe tomorrow it will be possible. So just a moment. The OS is getting loaded. How to install these also we'll see. First, I'm just showing what is the purpose of this shell so that you'll get the clarity. So now this is the OS. Now suppose if I want to log in, who is the administrator in Linux? Root. So if I log in as a root here, now if I want to apply any commands, now I have to open the terminal. So now you will be better if I show you with the user. So I have created one user here with the name K. I didn't just give the name, just alphabet. So there is some user is created with the name K. So when you log in with the K user, so suppose it is the user I have created with that name. Now I log in here. Now, if I want to apply the command, I need to open the terminal. So how to open the terminal? I'll show you 1 minute. Let me make it bigger screen so that it will be benefit. Look. So this is my OS. This is my user. Just a moment. Just a moment. So this is my OS. I have logged in as a user 1. Now here, if I want to apply the command, I need to open the terminal. So right click here, open in terminal. So once I open the terminal now, you see this is called the shell, bin bash shell. Now I'm trying to write some command like which is not there. Suppose I'm writing one command, Durga. It is not a command. So if I do like this, what it should say? Command not found. But if I write some command, now I'm trying to create a user. So the command to create the user is user add. Now I'm trying to create a user with the name U1. What it says, permission denied. So what the shell is doing, first it will check the command is correct or not. If the command is correct, then it will check that user have the privilege or not. So when the user login, when normal user login, they will get here dollar. Dollar means limited access. They will not have the privilege to do it. So who can do this thing? Only administrator. So first thing, the shell will check the command is correct or not. After checking the command is correct or not, it will check that user have the privilege or not. If that user don't have the privilege, it will show like that. If the command is not correct, it will show command not found. If the command is correct, but they don't have the access, it will show permission denied. And if the command is correct and the user have the privilege, it then it will execute. LS means list, it's showing. So in the background, what happens? Immediately we are getting the result, but in the background, what happens? This command is in high level, our high level language. The command is written in high level language. So whatever we are writing on the shell, if first it will check command is correct or not. Second, that user have the privilege or not. If it is correct and privilege is there, once you write in the background, what happens? It will learn in a fraction of second. It will convert that into binary. It goes to the kernel. Now the kernel is the main part of the Linux OS. So what the shell will do? Now I hope you will understand. So first the shell will check the command is correct or not. If it is correct, then it will check that user have the privilege or not. If that user have the privilege, it will convert the command which is in high level language to binary. Then now it sends to the kernel. Now the kernel is called the main part of the Linux OS. Now the kernel will take over. Now the kernel will take over the command. Like in our body, our brain is the main part. So what is the role of the brain? Which particular task should be done by which particular part of our body will be decided, controlled, and managed by our brains. So same way, the Linux kernel is called the core or the brain of Linux OS. So it will decide that task should be done by which particular hardware and software. Like in our body, brain will decide which part should do what work. So it is controlled and managed by our activities by brain. So same way in Linux, whatever commands are being executed. So who should, which particular task should be done by which particular hardware or the software will be decided, controlled, and managed by Linux kernel. So once the command comes to the kernel from the shell, which will be converted from the high level to binary. Now the kernel will send that required command to the hardware. That is our main part is what? CPU and our processor. Then that will do the task output. Now output will be given by our machine or computer in binary language. So what the kernel will do? The output is in binary format. So it will send the task output to the shell again. Now what the shell will do? Now the output is in binary. So it will convert that into high level and displays on the monitor. So this is what exactly happens when we are using the Linux OS. Are you understanding? Please tell me, because this happens in the background. So as an administrator, we should have that clarity, what is happening. Is it clear to everyone? What we have discussed, is it clear?
Yes, sir, it's clear.
So the shell is like a security guard. So suppose somebody send you the virus file. So if it is a Windows environment, a user can execute that file. He may be not knowing that is a virus file. He can run that and your system will get affected. Same scenario if you take it in Linux. Somebody sent that same virus file in the Linux machine. Now the user unknowingly want to execute. So user cannot execute that file. First of all, user will not have the execute permission in Linux. In Windows, it will be there. Second thing, whenever any user have the privilege also to execute the file, the shell will not allow that. Only it will run the commands which are known to it. Unknown commands, the shell will not execute. So that's why Linux is safe and secure. Are you understanding? So any program file in Windows, anyone can run, but in Linux, the shell is like a security guard. Only known things which are there in the OS, it will allow to run. So virus attack cannot be done here. And another thing in Windows, the files are identified with extension. Like our executable file will have .exe. Our text file will have extension .txt. Database file .dat. The MP3 file, media file will have MP3 extension. But in Linux, you will have this file I'll be sharing you, text file. I have made 3 files total. Text file, Linux, divided into 2 parts. Network admin, then the practical step file from first day to last. So once you do the payment, these 3 files I'll be sharing. Okay. So now in Linux, the files are identified by not with extension, but by symbols and alphabet. Because for different types of file, you will get different types of symbol or extension, no extension, symbol or alphabet. Like suppose if it is a normal file, when you check the property by using LL or LS space -L, first character will be hyphen. Yes, Runeshwari. Do you have any important work? If anything is important to you, you can leave. Okay. So now if the first character, you will be joining tomorrow, then will you be joining tomorrow? Are you interested in continuing the course? Because for the benefit of you, I am just repeating, you and Ravi are new, so that our previous students. Okay. Okay. You want offline? Okay, fine. I think offline is not there. Okay, it is your choice. Okay, fine, no problem. Okay, so now, Ravi, are you able to understand?
Yes,
Because for the benefit of people who are first day for them, I'm just repeating. So now, if it is a first character hyphen means it is a normal file. If a first character starts with dot before the file name, then that is a hidden file. If it is a L means that is a soft link file. If a first character D means directory. Like this, in Linux, the files are identified not with extension, but symbols and alphabet. And in Linux, there is no execute permission to the file. File will be created without execute permission, so that the users cannot execute unknown files and the shell will not allow that. So this type of security feature you don't have in Windows. So Linux is not only help you to work like a Linux administrator, but it is a foundation course for your higher courses, whether it is AWS DevOps, VMware, Oracle, Hadoop, SAP. For all this, the knowledge of Linux is important. Okay. So yesterday I repeated up to this, again I repeated. I hope those people who are there yesterday will also get benefited, because it was just a recap for them. Is it clear to up to this, everyone who are attending the session? Up to this, it is okay? Mansoor?
Yes, sir, it's clear.
Okay. And Shiva, Jensen, you are from which country, Jensen?
For the United States.
Okay, fine. Are you following?
Yes, I am.
Okay. So now let me tell you today what are the topics which we are going to cover in this course. As I told you yesterday, it will be roughly around 30 to 34 days. We will completing this. Roughly, you can take 1 month course. So I'll be going slowly so that everyone can understand. So this course is divided into 2 parts, standalone and network admin. So what are the topics we are going to discuss? First, standalone. So as this course is for most of the people, it is something new, because especially at least in India, we are more habituated using the Windows. But if you want to work with the security and on the servers, Linux is important. So first we'll go slowly. So introduction of Linux. So already we are in that only part, introduction we are discussing. Tomorrow we'll continue with what is structure, what data will be stored. Tomorrow that will be important session. So please don't miss the tomorrow session, because we'll compare where exactly what data will be stored in Linux, compare it with Windows. Then once you understand the structure of the Linux, then it will be little bit easier for you to operate the Linux OS. So after that, tomorrow session, structure of Linux. Tomorrow. how to install the Linux OS. After installing the Linux OS, we will be discussing the basic commands. So simply here I have written basic commands, but in these basic commands, we will be discussing about roughly 4 days, because we will do all the basic fundamental things, because if your fundamentals are strong, you can work on anything. If you are entering into any new field, or if you want to become good in any field, your foundation should be good. That's why our basic commands will be discussing roughly about 4 days, in which first we'll start with how to log in, how to open the terminal, how to change the directory using cd command, how to check the content using ls. After that, we will be discussing how to create the files. So in Linux, there are several commands by which you can create the file. So the most commonly used commands are 3: cat, touch, and editor. So first we will see how to create a file with the cat command, then with the touch command, then with the editor. All 3 are very important. After that, once you know the file, then we will be discussing in basic commands. I'm just giving you the overview about the total content which we are going to discuss in this course. Okay. Tomorrow I'll start the structure so that you can understand what are the important topics which we are going to cover in this course. So then after finishing with the creation of the file, we will discuss how to create directory, single directory, multiple, parental. Then after knowing how to create files and directories, in basic commands, we'll be discussing how to copy the files and directory, because as an administrator, all these things we should know. These are basics, but very important. After knowing how to copy files and directory, we should also know how to rename. So that also will do. So once you know how to create the file, it is also important, you should know how to delete. So we will be discussing how to delete the files and directory in basic. So that will be the end of the basic commands. After that, we will be discussing how to create the soft link and hard link for the file. What is the difference between soft link and hard link? What is the use and advantage of soft link and hard link? So soft link is something like a shortcut. Hard link is something like a backup of the file. Before you take the backup for important file, you will create the hard link. So because if you have the hard link of any file, if the original file get deleted also, if hard link is available, you will not lose the data. So very important in real time, for all important data, before they take the backup, they'll take the hard link. So that if anything happens to original data, if you are not taking the backup also, hard link is available or hard link is there, means your data will be there. Data will not be lost. So how to do that, we'll see in the we'll be discussing the booting process. Booting means loading up the OS. So once we install the OS, where it will be stored? On the hard disk. So when we power on the machine, what happens? Do you get the immediate login? No, it will take some time. So in the background, what happens? The OS will get loaded from the hard disk to RAM. So that process is called as booting process. So that process is called as booting process. So booting process means loading of the OS, Linux OS from hard disk to RAM. So once the OS get loaded from the hard disk to RAM, then you will get the login screen. So in Linux, this OS get loaded in 6 stages. So what are these 6 stages? In each stage, what happens? We will discuss in detail. Then in 6 stages, what happens? We'll discuss in detail. After that, in 6 stages, in one of the stages, we have last stage run level. Again, 6 run level. So in which run level, what happens? We will see that practically. Okay. Then after that, we'll be going to the filtering commands. Filtering command means if your data is huge, you want to see one particular content, then you have to use the filtering commands like cat, head, tail, sed, all these grep, all these filtering important commands we'll be discussing. After that, we will be discussing user administration. So as an administrator, you should know how to create the users. Yes. So we'll be discussing how to create the user, how to assign the password, where the user information will be stored in Linux, how we can control that user that we will be discussing in user administration. After that, we will see group administration. So why the group is created? To assign same permission to multiple users. So before you apply the permission, we should know how to create a group. So in group administration, we'll see how to create a group, how to add the users, multiple single users into the group before we assign the permission. So once you know how to create a group and user, then we will control them by applying permissions. So in Linux, we have three types of permission, starting with the basic file permission, access control list, which is called in short ACL, and the advanced file permission, which is also called as special permission. So in our course, all the three permissions we will discuss in detail, starting with basic file permission, which is used to apply the permission on categories wise. ACL, which is used to apply permission on different permission to different users and different groups. And after that, advanced file permission. As the name indicate, it is advanced permission, special permission. In that, again, we have three types of special permission: set UID, set GID, and sticky bit. All the three we will discuss in advanced file permission. After that, we'll move to the next part of our standalone topic, that is related with disk management. Disk management means managing your hard disk. So to manage your hard disk, what you need to create on the hard disk? Any idea, anybody? Yes, anybody? To manage the hard disk efficiently, effectively, what you need to create? I'm giving you the hint. You have to create
Partition.
something. Pardon?
Partitions.
Very nice. Partition you have to create. So we'll be seeing how to create a partition. Then after knowing how to create the partition, we will be discussing very important concept that is called LVM. So how to combine the multiple partition or hard disk into a single storage space to resize our file system space. That is done with the LVM, which is called logical volume management. So in the disk management, first we will see how to create partition. Then after knowing how to create partition, we'll be discussing how to combine the multiple hard disk or partition to implement LVM, through which we can do the resizing, increasing the size of our file system using the LVM. That is very important. That also you'll see. After that, we will be discussing logical memory, that is called swap. How to create logical, it is called logical memory. How to increase the swap size, which will improve the system performance. That we'll see swap management. After that, we will be discussing software RAID. We will be discussing the software RAID. So we'll be discussing RAID level 0, 1, and 5, which is best RAID level 5. So using the inbuilt application called MDADM, Metadisk Admin, we'll be discussing how to configure the RAID level 5, which will allow us not to lose the data even if one of the partition or hard disk get failed. So that is the importance of RAID level. It is something like a backup of hard disk. So with that, disk management will be over. Then after that, we will be moving towards the process management. Means whatever task is running in our server, how do we monitor it? By using various tools and commands are there. Out of that, two most commonly used command is ps and top. So whatever task is running in our machine, we can monitor them by ps command and top. And whichever is not required, we need to kill that, terminate them. So how to do that? We'll be discussing in process management. After that, our last part in standalone will be, as an administrator, we need to make sure that our company data is protected. It should not be lost. So to prevent the data loss, what you have to do? You have to take the backup. So users backup is very important. So how we'll take the users backup every day? By using dump command. In that, we have to take first day full backup, then next day onwards incremental backup, and final day of our backup cycle, which every company will have either 15 days or 1 month. So last day we will take on every month by cycle, backup cycle will take what? total backup or complete backup. So how to do that with the dump command, we'll see that important. Then after that, we will discuss tar command, how to compress the data while taking the backup with gunzip tool. Then how to take the normal backup with the CPIO, we'll be discussing. Then once we do with this, we'll be discussing last topic, scheduling of the jobs using AT and cron tab, both. So how to create a user, how to create a file, how to take the backup at so and so time. That is can be done by AT and cron tab. Both we will discuss. So with this, the end of the standalone topic. Now the last part of our course will be network admin, in which we are going to discuss about how to assign the IP, first thing, then how to install the application in Red Hat or CentOS by using RPM and yum by configuring yum server. So once you know how to install the application, then we will begin with the servers, configuration of servers. So as an administrator, your important role is you have to make sure that employee is able to access each other data. For that, we have to configure we have to allow the sharing. For that, in Linux, 3 types of servers are there for sharing the data among the employees, with FTP server, NFS server, and Samba. So with the FTP server, you can share any type of file on any OS, but not directory. With the NFS, we can share both files and directory, but only Linux to Linux. With Samba server, you can share files and directory both on Linux to Windows, Windows to Linux. So all 3 servers we'll be discussing, very, very important. After that, we'll be also discussing how to configure the DNS server so that we can access the website or server by name. After that, we'll be discussing how to host the website using Apache Web Server and access that by name using DNS. Then we will be also discussing DHCP server, which every company need to maintain to provide the IP address to all the employees or the client machine dynamically, automatically using DHCP server. And how to take the remote desktop using SSH, because Telnet nobody is using and it is not secure. So how to take the remote desktop using SSH we'll see, and how to copy the data from one machine to another with SCP we'll see. So this is the total course content which we are going to discuss in detail in this course, which will be about 1 month duration. So I hope you got the idea about what are the important things which we are going to cover in this course, which is a combination of RSCSS syllabus and the topics which is required in the real-time environment. So it's a very good mixture of the topics. So I hope you are understood. Is it clear? What is the course content?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now the time is over. So tomorrow we'll discuss this important thing, structure of the Linux OS, where exactly what data will be stored. So you please attend this, because once you understand this, you can work on the Linux. Okay. So before I close the session, I will request you people. Now you have seen 2 day sessions. So those who are interested in continuing with the course, please make the payment as soon as possible, so that I can share you that required document.
How do you pay for the course?
Sorry,
How do I purchase the course?
your voice is breaking. Just can you repeat it or write it in the chat box?
How do I purchase the course?
See, you have to make the payment. Our people will see here. They have given you some numbers, or you can contact them. They will guide you how to make the payment. See here.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
No. So once you make a payment, tomorrow you tell me, I'll send you the required document.
Okay. I'll do that. Thank you.
Okay. And Mansoor, when you are going to pay?
Yeah, tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Okay. And Jensen, you will be also paying tomorrow?
Yeah, I can pay that today. I can go ahead and buy the course today.
Okay, fine. Then what about you, Shiva? Are you able to hear me, Shiva? Will you be continuing or not? Can you just tell me? Okay, okay, you will be also paying. Okay. So that once you make a payment, please tell me. Because the rate is also very reasonable. You can see the course content for only 4,000. Nobody will pitch you. It was earlier 5,000, but now the market is done. That's why they have reduced it. Okay, so take the advantage of that. Okay, fine. Can I close the session or any questions, any doubt, anybody?
Yeah, no questions.
Oh, so that's it for today. Thank you. See you tomorrow. Good night.
Yeah.
Good night. Thank you.